And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the day. Welcome back to our weekly tournaments of ESL Open Cup Asia number 205. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of editions, been a lot of weeks of ESL Asia, and we are back here with some Korean StarCraft. Hope everyone has been doing well. Hope everyone had a break after the last broadcast, after the intense and just nail-biting series that we had earlier today. All the qualifying matches for IEM are now concluded, and now we continue with our weekly dose of Korean StarCraft. And here we go. In the top left-hand corner, we have on site Delta, the South Korean Protoss player representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean, Terran, Terran player, not Protoss. It is Fork. I swear Fork was Protoss. Look, I could be crazy, but I think he does switch race. I do from time to time, maybe avoiding the mirror matchup. I'm not entirely certain, but regardless, we are here with our PVT, and yeah, again, hope everyone has been enjoying themselves. It's been a pretty not just intense day, but intense week of StarCraft. We, of course, had to go through the European regionals, the Asia regionals, and of course the Americas regionals as well, the server qualifiers, I should say, for IEM Katowice, and we have our final players that have made it in, and it doesn't end there. It does not end there. A lot of players are still traveling as well, or soon to travel, because DreamHack Atlanta is over the weekend. Of course, a big premier event in the land of the Americas, and everyone is going to be getting involved there. We have players traveling from all around the world, from Europe, from Asia, from Korea, from even within the Americas as well, and yeah, I look forward to it. Do look forward to it. Of course, we're not local, so we won't be there, but if you happen to be local, I recommend dropping by, being a part of that, and embracing StarCraft with everyone else as well. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an intense weekend, and just back to back to back. Even last weekend, we had the Home Story Cup. We had Home Story Cup as well, so it just does not end. It does not stop. Likewise, WTL has been postponed this week as well. Postponed just because of DreamHack Atlanta. I believe next week is going to be held instead, just to make up for that and just to make sure that nothing does clash. The players are able to travel back home safely in time and can actually participate in the final round of World Team League. So again, our organizers have been accommodating, or they're trying to be as accommodating as possible. So feels good, man. Feels good. Regardless, we're getting into this exclamation mark B in the chat. If you guys would have a look at the back of yourselves, a lot of players are here. The highest of quality, of course, as well. We have Dark, we have Cure, we have Stats, and many others. But for now, we're diving into this, and we do have a Twilight Council opener here from Stats. So it was a gate expanded into a Cybercore, standard opener all around, but going into a Twilight Council would be for Blink. There it is, Blink is on the way. Meanwhile, across the map, Fork is more of an amateur player. I should actually try and fix that even as well. But yeah, we have casted Fork a couple of times here during the ESL weeklies, maybe during a KSL as well. I'm not entirely certain if we have been able to cover him, as there we go. That for the most part fits for now. But we haven't been able to cover him too frequently when it comes to these online events. But yeah, it's been really cool to see Fork alongside some of the other amateur Korean players. Like Close is the other one that's been very active recently when it comes to competing in events very regularly. Hasn't gone for any kind of deep runs here. He's still looking to make a name for himself, more of an online ladder hero more than anything. As we are getting to our opener, and we're committing quite hard actually. Okay, we do have a mind drop upon us, but we also have an armory behind this as well, which means detection is going to be required. The army being thrown down after the hallucination did run out, so Fork intentionally, of course, keeping himself at bay, keeping himself hidden here, and we'll see if he can get some damage done as he does make his way across the map. Speaking of back at home, Stats did go for a 3-gate opener into a 3rd base, so very safe play here. Not the most greedy, but also not the most aggressive. With 3 gateways, we have plenty of production to work with. We already have a decent sized army here outside at the natural. The main base is a little bit more exposed, but we have 3 Stalkers in position. We are already here waiting for any kind of drop play. We know the timings as well, and Stats should be able to shoot this away. If he doesn't, then we could get a couple of mine hits. Remember, we do have the armory, we do need detection, and Chloe's going to try and boost his way past those Stalkers. Goes right for the mineral line. He does borrow those mines in the end. We do react in time, we do pull away. But again, where is the Robo? The Robo just now finishing. We don't have an observer, which means that these shots may recharge. They may be able to get another couple of kills here. As for the time being, only 3 worker kills. 3 probes for the medevac. Oh, that was brutal to lose the medevac as well. Observer is being chronoed out as we speak, and doesn't take too long to make the observer, so stats, he should clean this up. They should not get extra hits in. Hopefully. Oh! As Widow Mines are cleaned up. After they're cleaned up, we do have a bait on the way for stats. Working towards Blink Stalkers and then Colossi thereafter. So again, pretty standard play, pretty safe play here from Stats, just kind of looking to absorb the attacks of his opponents and eventually looks to saturate himself on 3 bases. Meanwhile, across the map, we do have Fork, of course, getting up to his 2-base saturation as well. Committing quite hard, actually, getting up to 5 Raxes here on 2 bases. I don't see a third. I don't see one yet, at least. This doesn't have to be a 2-base all-in, but the hallucination comes in and we do see the prioritization of the production. So Stats is aware that regardless of whether there's a third or not, an attack is soon to be coming, and when it does move out, it's going to be quite terrifying. So Stats getting ready back at home. He's going for his own gateway explosion. He's aware that he has to work on his own army. Again, getting fully saturated on 3 bases. And Fork, do we move out? Scan, we're looking for an observer. We're looking to make sure that we are in the dark. That Stats is in the dark even. 3rd base is being taken on location. So as we can see here, it's not going to be a 2-base all-in. But regardless, a committed push is going to be moving out. Interesting that we only made 1 tank. We're going from 1 tank right into more Widowmine production. So, interesting choice. With those Widowmines, we will have kind of a better army against charge lots, true. But yeah, going for a very tank-light composition instead. Meanwhile, across the map, we're just getting into our upgrades. We have Extend Thermal Lens on the way. We have +1 on the way as well. Getting up and running on 3 bases. We can see Stats fanning out his units, looking for any kind of move out here. We've got Stalkers in the center of the map. We've got the Observers out towards the left-hand side as well, towards the south. And speaking of fanning out our units, we are going for a Doom Drop. That is 5 medevacs full of units going right for the main base. We do have a Stalker here on the right-hand side, but we aren't quite covering the dead space here. There's no Observer. We do have a couple of Stalkers in position, but that's not going to be enough to stop all of these medevacs. Are we going to commit, though? We could kill at least 1 medevac before it unloads. We go for the scan. We see the Stalkers. We think better of it. I'm going to try to find another way across. Going to be rotating in between the bases. Maybe going for the natural. Now we find a way in. Stats. He is in position. He can react, but we're going to be able to siege up. 1 medevac goes down. 2nd medevac as well. A lot of units do not unload. The rest of the army has to react, has to respond. Colossi are on the way. I love that we're setting up Widow Mines here towards the south to try to cut off some of these units. Oh, mine shot's going to be going off. Nice dodges out of Stats. Avoiding most of those mines. We clean up the tanks, and we should be able to clean up this army as well. We have the Colossus. We don't quite have detection. So these Widow Mines, they may reset once again, but we clean up the army, and there's the recall to bring back that Observer. Observer has arrived. We clean up the mines. And now Fork is in a brutal position. He invested so much into that Doom Drop. That was designed to shut down the main base, to take control of the main at least. But what did he really get? He got a couple of gateways. He traded with gateway units, and that is not good enough. Not for Fork. And with that Stats, he takes an army lead. He has a 4th base on the way as well. At least behind this, again, Fork, he was establishing his 3rd, but his economy is still lacking. Doubling down on more Raxes. We're not taking up towards Viking production or Ghost Academy yet. Still sticking with Biomine, which can work. It's a very mobile composition. You can go for drop play or split pushes. But these frontal assaults, I'm not too convinced by them. Not too convinced, especially against 3 Colossi. But here we go, we're pushing. We will try it nonetheless. Moving out across the map. Stats back at home. He's splitting up his army. He's preparing for potentially drop play here towards the south. We know that there's none of the sorts, but Stats is getting ready for that. The army moving on forward. Bit of a preemptive stim. The mines have borrowed. Oof. 1 shot going to be going off. Only 1 very delicate micro. The Observer is going to get picked off. Nice moves out of Stats. And from that, yeah, he's going to be able to get some splash damage done. He cleans up the Widow Mines nonetheless, even without that Observer. Beautiful. All 3 mines will go down. Meanwhile, Fork is going to be backing off, getting his 4th base on location. Again, at least he isn't all-in on 3 bases. At least he's still trying to build up his economy, but again, 1 step behind. what worries me most is his army composition. He is now incorporating a couple of Vikings, which will help getting to that Viking production, but alas, he's still lacking those ghosts. He's lacking those ghosts as he pushes through the middle. There's a world where maybe he can try to catch half of the army of stats at once. He has kind of split up here, and stats is a little bit vulnerable. His reinforcements coming back home. We're going for a massive stim. Oh my god. Diving onto that Colossus so far, we do not get on top of it. You can see stats trying to come in from behind. The full surround even, a little bit disjointed. He's going for the Nexus. Nexus is going to go down, but is it going to be worth it here? Stats, he comes across the reinforcements. He's cleaning everything up. Medevacs are being targeted down, and Fork, he's going to lose everything. A big commitment here. He kills one Nexus, and that's all he kills. And from here, Stats, he can counterattack. There's nothing left at home to defend. We have workers, we have a handful of Marines, we have a handful of reinforcements. And Stats is maxed out. He's got double the army supply of his opponents. More than double, actually. Catches some of the medevacs. Third base has to be evacuated. Fork rotating over towards his fourth. But Stats, honestly, can push towards that natural base. So we have detection. We do. We have a couple of observers, none with the main army. So these Widow Mines are going to connect. Lion Shield's connecting with mainly the Zealots more than anything. The boys are being pulled into Archons, into Colossus. You hate to see it. Thankfully, we don't have WSS game hearts, so we actually don't know how many workers just died. We kind of do. 20, 27 even. As we collapse on the army, there's no turning back from here. There's nowhere else to go. The Marauders are being cleaned up. The base goes down as well as we make our way towards the main. And Fork just barely has anything left. Going for a scan, just getting a good eye on the army at least. With what he's up against. But again, there's only a handful of units left in the main base. We have some reinforcements. We take down one. We take down two of these Archons. At least. But we're still pushing in. We have our observers as well. We have detection this time. Fork, he has a planetary, I guess. He has kind of a base up and running. But GG gets called, and Stats will be taking game number 1. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there at his Stats. Fork, a little bit ambitious with some of his moves. He was very, very much so ambitious when it came to his Doom drops or his dives. But I appreciate the tenacity nonetheless from Fork. And how he was approaching that. And yeah, again, you know, Stats is one of the more established players. He's becoming more and more in form over the past couple of months, ever since returning from the military. Ever since returning from the military, and yeah, it is great to see him once again. As with that, we're going to be getting ready for game number 2, I believe. I believe that was the first game. I don't think we missed out on the second. I hope we didn't miss out on the second. As we can also take a moment to have a look at the brackets soon as well. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys can't wait. If you guys want to have a look at where this leads us. But we are getting ready for that second game. It's going to be on Solaris. Here we go. Meanwhile, I'm just catching up in the chat. Does anyone know when was the last time that they gave new ladder maps? Pretty recently, so maybe a couple of months. Super Spray and Bappy. What's happening? Yeah, the new map pool was October, I want to say. Pretty sure the new map pool was on October, so it's still very fresh. Still very fresh, still very new. We actually technically haven't had a premiere event on the new map pool. Oh, actually, I guess we had the ESL Masters Winter Regionals on the new map pool, but we haven't had an offline event with them yet. I mean, we had Home Story Cup, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about like a DreamHack or an IEM. DreamHack Atlanta is going to be the first big event with the new map pool. DreamHack Young Shipping was with the previous map pool. So it's been 2 months. 2 months. And here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the South Korean Protoss player leading the series 1-0. Representing the Kwangdong Freaks, it is Stats. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, changing colors. So one moment, I'm gonna need to change his color once again. There we go. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. The teal Terran was once green. It is Fork. I see in the chat, is this considered BM? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say just staying in a couple of extra minutes is considered BM. It's fine. I think take it one step further. If we start floating buildings and floating towards the corners of the map, then or even forcing your opponent to like kill all the buildings, then sure, then yeah, I can get behind the BM. But here I'm sure Fork was just trying to play his heart out. And here we go. Speaking of, he's going for something very interesting. What I find interesting as well is that he's rallying his SCVs further back. So we're going for a proxy 2 racks. I'm curious if we intend to throw down a 3rd racks after this as well. Just a little bit further behind, just to keep it hidden. Meanwhile, Stats, he scouts. He does check. He does come across the proxy. Stats, he sees all. He knows all. We have a Zealot on the way. 2nd pylon as well. Stats, fully aware of what's going on. SCV doesn't end up pulling back to throw down another base. Ooh, and we are going for proxy Marauders. Kind of. We have Marines on the way. A Tech Lab as well. I imagine this is going to be for Marauder production. And there we go. We have another Tech Lab in production as well. This takes quite some time to get going, and again, Stats, he's fully aware of what's happening. He's going to be preparing with shield batteries, with Stalkers. There we go, Stalkers are on the way, shield batteries thrown down. Marauders are in production. We should be researching Concussive Shell with this. Again, going to be very committed by our teal Terran. Stats going for a hidden base here. Let's go. Going for this is a little bit greedy, a little bit cheeky of Stats, but he's going to be going here for this ninja base out towards the Rich-Festing Gas Geyser. Boys are being pulled. They have to be at this point. We are completely all in. There's no turning back. One way or another, the game is about to end. The game is about to end here, as Fork is going to be pushing on forward. So what's interesting about this variation of Proxy Marauder is that there's no Concussive Shell. There's no Concussive Shell here for our Terran. We're diving on forward up the ramp. Where's the force field? We do cut up the army. 2 of the Marauders are left behind. But we only have 1 of these Stalkers available. 1 Stalker, 1 Sentry. Bunker is on the way. But we're focusing down the the Marauders. 1, 2 of them almost going down. Boys are being pulled. We have a 2nd Stalker. So far, we haven't quite lost anything. Stats hasn't lost anything. He wants us around. He catches another Marauder. Gets another. Denies the bunker as well. It will not finish. And we have Warp Gate finishing up. We have another wave of Stalkers soon to be on the way. And we're going to be getting a couple of worker kills at least. We have the rest of the SCVs have been pulled. But again, the gateways are done, and there we go. We're warping in another round of Stalkers. A Sentry as well. I'm loving the Sentries here by Stats. Basically, because we don't have a medevac or anything like that, we're looking for some force fields. We cut up the army once again. There is no retreat. Dealing with half of this army at a time. Very nice control here from Stats. Behind this, he's getting this Nexus up and running. Getting further and further ahead. And again, even if it wasn't for this base, like, Stats would be in a good position. Maintaining control of the ramp. This is a little bit adventurous. Moving towards the low ground. Stats has to be careful. We still have a good amount of Marauders. SCVs are racing back home. We're going to try to go back to mining. Meanwhile, Stats moving down to the proxy location. Again, very adventurous. He has to be careful. Going to be warping in onto the low ground. We have the Guardian Shield. We don't have SimCity, but never mind, we kind of do. We do cut up the army. Marauder's gonna get picked off. There is no retreat, no kiting. And that's gonna be all we had left. We're camping the production. There's nothing else back home. No Raxes, no factories. 1 Marauder trying to escape. We're trying. And now there is nothing left coming out from here. And again, Stats, he's happily mining from a second base. He's going to be ignoring the proxy, going across the map, going for the kill. Now, if Stats had spent time here trying to focus down these Raxes, maybe we could finish up a bunker and a factory and some units. Maybe we could have some other way out of this, but that's not happening. When it came to this proxy, it was a little bit peculiar. We're actually going into Reapers to kill some workers, which will happen. When it came to this proxy, it was really weird because I'm used to seeing Proxy Marauder with Concussive Shell just so you can kite, just so you can chase down some of these gateway units regardless. We are busting into the main base, the factory. It will not finish either, and we take control of that main. We do have those Reapers, and you know what? We're going to try and kill some probes. We're going to try and kill some workers in the main. Maybe we can kill one. We do have a couple of warp-ins here. Probes are maybe going to be going down here before the Reapers do clean everything up. And with that, GG gets called. There's nothing left. Stats will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the next round. GG. GG, well played. A very powerful performance here out of Stats to take down his opponent, both in a much more standard macro game in Game 1 and Game 2 being the defending player and shutting down the cheese, shutting down the proxy of Fork. When it came to the proxy itself, I did feel a little bit lackluster. It felt a little bit odd. I mean, clearly there's power behind it, and I'm sure it does work on the ladder, but Stats was able to get eyes on it so quickly. Able to respond, able to react, even going for that ninja base, which he didn't even need, by the way. Just kind of that icing on top sort of thing, where Stats was able to win with a little bit of flair as well. So very well done here by Stats. And now we advance on into the next round. Exclamation mark B. Exclamation mark B in the chat. Ooh. To have a look at the bracket yourselves here from the top, let's quickly go over some of these updates. And we have Dark waiting in the quarterfinals. That is our next series, Stats versus Dark, coming up next. Let's go. Dark has been patiently waiting here. Has been patiently waiting for either Stats or Fork to arrive. And they are currently conducting their vetoes. We will very quickly set up the series before we can, before we advance on. There we go. Beautiful. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Nightmare up against Coffee in the quarterfinals as well. That's a pretty high quality PvT. I look forward to that. It's going to be a very nice series. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Oliveira versus versus Yax. Unfortunately, Cyan was not here. There was a walkover. That's a shame. Cyan is an amazing player, and Cyan has beaten Oliveira before. Cyan, he's one of the best Protosses in China. Would have been amazing to see him up against Oliveira. Would have been amazing to see them duke it out, but it looks like Cyan did not show up, and Oliveira did get the 2-0 score over Yax. Oliveira advancing onto the semifinals. Scrolling down towards the bottom of the bracket, we have all the Terrans. Oliveira down here in the lower semis. We have Ryung 2-0 close, and Ryung is up against Cure in a TVT. That is a spicy series. That is a solid TVT leading into Oliveira as well. If you're a fan of Terran versus Terran, that is the place to be. A lot of really good matches ongoing there on the lower half of the bracket. Meanwhile, our attention is on the upper half of the bracket. We'll get to the Terrans at some point. Don't worry. We'll get there. We have a Terran confirmed for the finals, essentially. Between Oliveira, Ryung, and Cure, we will cover one of them at least. Meanwhile, towards the upper half of the bracket, we have Dark, Stats, Nightmare, Coffee. A little bit more diversity here, and, I mean, you know where we're going next. We are going to be diving on that Dark series. Here we go. Catching up. This guy's trash is not respectful. True. Guys, settle down. Respect the players, respect the casters, respect other community members as well. Come on, guys. Like, what the hell? Shaking my head. uh. If that's the case, there's many other streams out there streaming the same thing. True. Go for it. Go for it, Pappy. I know Into the Inu is covering this series in Korean. So if you want, can check out his stream. But until then, we are going to be getting ready for this. It looks like our players have asked for a bit of a break. They've asked for a moment before we do get into this. Before we dive into Stats versus Dark. It's all good. More than willing to wait. More than willing to give them the time they need before diving into this. Until then, here we go. Outside of that, though, I hope everyone has been enjoying themselves. Hope everyone has been having a good time over the weekend. We spoke about it earlier, but again, there's been a lot of StarCraft going on. I was really feeling it earlier today. I was so tired. I was so tired after the IM Katowice qualifiers. Oh my god! Or even during them as well. I think I only slept 2 hours before. I think we only slept a couple of hours before the America's Close qualifier. I was able to sleep for 2 hours, and then we had to dive right into it. Likewise, had a small nap after that. Diving into this series here. I think we have a bit of a break before our next broadcast. After this is going to be ESL Americas. We don't cover ESL Open Cup Europe. We don't cover the European regionals or the European weeklies. Just because, you know, it would be nice to sleep at some point. It would be nice to actually get to like a proper 8 hours rest or something. So we do leave the European weeklies to some of the other casters out there. Do leave it to them. For now, though, looks like our players. Actually, we're just we're waiting for a moment here, waiting for stats. So good, so good. There we go. We're ready. We're ready to go. As a reminder as well, this is the quarterfinals. Winner of this moves on to the semis. So we're, a bit of a shorter broadcast today. We're missing a lot of our regulars. We're missing players like Hero. We're missing Classic. We're missing, who else? Hero, Classic, Björn, Gumiho. Some of the names that I just mentioned, they have been duking it out in the IM qualifiers earlier today, so they might just be tired and might be looking to get some rest. Specifically, that relates to GRG Creator and Gumiho, and Bunny as well. So they're probably resting after an intense morning. When it comes to the other players, it's possible that they may be traveling. Remember, DreamHack Atlanta is this weekend, and it takes quite some time to travel between continents like that. They may also want to travel a little bit earlier just so they can acclimate to the Americas and actually get some rest and not be jet lagged for the event itself. I know that's a big thing. I know people have been talking about it, or players have been talking about it, how ideally they want to get to the events, like get to the event area like a day or two beforehand, so you actually get like a proper day's sleep and adjust. But until then, we're diving into our best of 3. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Solaris, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon KZ Gaming. It is Dark. Going for a 12 pool. Let's go. Going for the 12 pool here. Dark, he is known for his aggression, especially in this matchup. It isn't just a 12 pool, we have a drone across the map. Dark is looking to go for a proxy hatch here at the natural base, looking to snowball out of control and try to break stats here in the early game. It could be a fast one. Could be, as the hatchery has been thrown down, is going to be disrupting this wall. As a reaction, we do need a forge to defend. There we go, we have a second gateway for the time being. A forge will be required to throw down some cannons to help add some of that DPS and to help support these zealots as well. There we go, Lings are on the way. Zealot is being chronoed as we speak, going for the Cyber Core. and the gateway. No Forge, by the way. Bold move here from Stats. Not impossible, but is going to be a little bit more difficult to defend, especially if Dark does commit. Here we go again. We're just flooding links across the map. Zealot does pop out. Going to be swiping away at the hatchery at least. Swiping away at the hatchery. Meanwhile, we have good service area on the gateway. The gateway itself should be going down. And that's where I'm concerned. The gateway is going to be falling. Can we barely get that Zealot out in time? It looks like it's going to be close. It's going to be close. It does pop out. 2 Zealots. Boys are being pulled. The gateway will fall. No shield battery. Shield battery just now starting. Meanwhile, Dark looking for a surround. Behind this, he's expanding. He is taking another base. Hatchery does finish. Queen is on the way. Additional Lings as well. The Adept has arrived, and it looks like Stats is going to be holding here. I believe he should have enough, especially with the shield battery. Second shield battery is on the way. What I love, though, is that the creep is being spread, and oh, yo, we get a surround! We get on top of the Adept. The Adept gets surrounded. The shield battery finishes up 1 second too late. The Adept does fall. Lings, they flood into the main base. Hatchery still taking a lot of damage. That Queen still not coming out. We're going for the shield battery. And we force out those Zealots. Force them to back off. Another Adept does arrive, but the shield battery is out of energy. There's no overcharge. There's no base. The Queen pops out. Spine Crawler's on the way. And this is becoming too much. Far too much at this point. Ay, ay, ay. Zealots doing what they can. We have another Adept on the way, but with the arrival of the Spine Crawler, this should be, again, we should be able to break this natural base. Adept has popped out. Trying to get us around. The Zealots, they've been fighting their hearts out this entire time. They're kiting! Barely keeping them alive, but finally they go down. The Spine Crawler camping the production. We have one more Adept on the way, but it's still a ways off. And with the Spine Crawler, we can focus down these pylons. Back in the main base, what do we have? We have additional gateways, a Robo in production as well. Stat's going to try to hold on to his one base. He's going to have to rebuild the Cybercore as well. Yeah, there we go. Backup Cybercore's on the way. Lings camping the main base. There's no shield battery. There's no overcharge. Without a shield battery, these Lings are going to get out of control. Probes, they're going down. Ay, ay, ay. 4 more workers. Here on the low ground, again, focusing on those pylons. Adepts trading as best they can as well. Behind this, Dark is droning. Dark, he knows he's done enough damage. He's done more than enough damage at this point to drone out of this. The Slowlings looking for a surround. Oh, they're going to find one. They're going to get one of those Adepts as well. Yeah, we're down to 2 Adepts. We do have another Warping available soon. We just need the money for it. Probes force off the mineral line. Queen waddling up the ramp. And again, Stats, he's going to be holding here on 1 base, but Dark getting fully saturated here on 2 bases at this point. He can soon take his gases, tech up, slowly leapfrogging into the main base as well. Shield battery now on the way. Because of the Spine Crawler, we may even get a kill on this Robo, which would be unfortunate. We have a Transfuse available. Adepts are shading across the map. Ooh, if Dark isn't too careful, if he's being too greedy, he won't have anything to defend. There we go. 14 Lings are on the way. He was supply blocked. The Adepts, they're arriving. And we will kill workers. Yeah, the Lings are just a little bit too late. Adepts, they get into the mineral line. They're going for the main, though. And they're allowing some of these Lings to pop out. Yeah, they come out just in time. No! As they miss the Adepts. Back at home, we have the overcharge. We're holding onto the main. 4 workers go down. Just like that. Stats has a pretty comparable worker count. Dark on 20 drones. Stats on 18. Adepts are going to be threatening shades. 1 Adept left here across the map. Again, there was potential here with these Adepts, and hey, we did kill some workers, that's true. Dark doesn't have the best economy, but the Spine Crawlers, they're leapfrogging forward, they're getting into the main base. Creep has been just expanding even further as well. The Robo goes down. We're down to 3 gateways. We just popped the overcharge. It's not off cooldown yet. We have to wait a little bit longer. GG gets called. There's not much left, and Dark will take game number 1. GG. Oh, GG, well played. Oh my god. Again, stats, I would say not really respecting the cheese enough there, the proxy enough. I was mentioning at the time, I was really surprised not to see a forge. The reason why I say that, something that we clearly saw here in the early game, if you're up against a 12 pool and a proxy hatch, you have very limited production. Your production is very limited as a Protoss player, and you need to supplement that with stack defense, whether it's cannons or shield batteries. The shield battery on the low ground was very late as well, but we do need stack defense to help hold on. Without it, you can see how difficult it can be, how quickly you can be overwhelmed as well. And Dark did snowball out of control. Stats may be a little bit overconfident, and I think we're going to have to remake, because Stats may have picked the wrong race. May have picked the wrong race there, so we may have to... Was he playing this out? Here? Okay, no, we can. Okay, we can. I was like, is he actually going to play Terran? No. We are going to be remaking. But yeah, again, as you can see in that last game, without stack defense, it is just very difficult to defend there, and it is why players like Classic, players like Hero, they are so fast. They don't even go 2-gate. They go gate into Forge into that second gateway as well, just to get cannons up and running, just to be able to survive. And with that, we are getting ready for game number 2. So welcome back, Stats. Welcome back to StarCraft. Stats like, I want to go back to the military. I didn't get 12 fooled in the military, Bobby. True. Feels bad, man. And here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing the Kwangdong Freaks down in this series. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player, representing CranKy Z Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. Go. Probes are being sent out. Drone this time is moving out, but merely just to expand. Going to take the unnatural natural. Much more standard opener this time out of Dark. He's droning. This is something very unique to Dark as well. Fun fact, as he does rotate around with his drones, his goal here is to actually take his natural, so he does send out a second worker. And his natural is delayed, that is true, but it's actually on location. Dark, he's one of the few Zerg players out there that sends out 2 drones, one to like move towards the linear or the third base location, and the other comes in as he is moving out across the map. He hasn't taken his gases. He can go for the hatch block. Oh, he has the money for it, and he does meet up with that probe. Drone being as annoying as possible, and he's gonna be forced out. Back at home, we should take our gases, our spawning pool. This gas and spawning pool is delayed because Dark was holding on to resources to throw down that hatchery, but Stats was able to deflect Dark, so Dark, a bit of a shaky start here. A little bit inefficient. You know, a later expansion, later gas, later spawning pool, but only by a couple of seconds. Not the most impactful of timings there. Dark even trying to go for the gas steal. Having some fun. Having fun here in the bases. Of course, Dark and Stats, they have quite a bit of history between the two of them. Quite a bit. Good to see them together once again. After so long, Bobby, after so long. So now Dark, just trying to get some scanning information, does confirm that Stargate opener as well. Standard opener out of Stats. Stats can finally get into his game, can finally get into his ideally mid-game. Should be Stargate into Oracle in towards a third base. We'll keep an eye on Stats because there's always the potential to go for a Void Ray first instead. With a Void Ray, you can shut down these Overlords, you can keep the Zerg player in the dark, and try to keep your tech hidden as well. From there, you can go for a Twilight Council, into Glaive Adepts, you can go for a Fleet Beacon, into Sky Toss. There's a lot available to you. There is a lot available. Meanwhile, back at home, just going to be joining on up on 2 bases, getting our 3rd up and running as well. Dark just also easing into the mid game, and we have our first unit of choice. It's not going to be a Void Ray, it is going to be the Oracle. So, standard opener. Let's theorize, you know, what it could be if it was a Void Ray, but it's an Oracle, so this should lead into a 3rd. Should lead into a 3rd base timing. Into multiple Oracles, into a Forge and Twilight Council. So everything looking as it should. The Oracle is moving out. Behind this, so are the Adepts. And there's that probe for the 3rd base as well. So again, everything looking normal from stats. All the Adepts are going to get caught out by the Lings though. Lings, they do catch the Adepts. Good control here. Good use of the terrain to try to reduce surface area. But alas, one Adept does still get picked off. The Oracle forced back as well. That's pretty huge actually. Expending some of that energy here on Lings, not on drones. Meanwhile, Dark, he has time. We have 2 Queens at the main, 2 Queens at the natural. Spores are getting up and running. Dark should be safe and sound against at least 1 Oracle. But now we have 2. 2 Oracles, they can one-shot workers. 3rd bases are getting up and running. The Adept does race back home to defend. And the Lings of Dark, they just confirmed that there is a 3rd. The Oracles, they do dip towards that natural. Queens are in position. And the Oracles, they take quite a bit of hull damage. We were able to kill 1 drone. Oh wait, no, that was the worker across the map. Oh, never mind. Weren't able to get too much damage. Gonna be made-running over towards that 3rd base. Spores soon to be up and running. And we have gone up to 3 Oracles. We have a handful of Adepts on the ground. We are looking for some economic damage. Can we get it? So far, the Adepts, they threaten the shade towards that natural. Lings, they dive in. Oh, they get 1. They get 1 Adept. They force the activation of the Pulsar Beam once again. We shade into the natural base. We pull away. 2 drones go down. But so far, only 2 workers. Dark. What is that? 3 drones going down in total? Yeah, 3 workers for 4 Adepts. Not worthwhile here for stats. He does at least keep his Oracles alive. And behind this, it is not +1 in Blink. It is +1 and Charge. Okay. Stats going in a bit of a different direction. Now, with Charge, we can hit a very strong timing. A very strong timing with Archons. It should be Charge or Archon on the horizon here for stats. And again, once he gets his Archons up and running, we can push out. We can try to catch Dark off guard, especially if he's being a little bit too greedy. Speaking of greed, I'm a little bit concerned. Dark has not gone for a Roach Warren. Lair is halfway done. +1 melee's on the way. Baneliness as well. Looks like Dark is going Ling Bane into Hydra, which is a very, very... I mean, high DPS, but also a very fragile army composition. It is ideal against Stalkers, less so against Charge or Archon. But here we go, we're getting ready for a Bane Bust. Gonna be busting into that natural, getting into the mineral line. And stats, can he react in time? Up! The wall is gonna be knocked down. The Lings, they flood in the sentry a little bit too late. And we do get a force field, but the Lings, they flood into the natural. Probes are going down. We have Lings here in the natural. We have Lings moving towards the 3rd base as well. Everything is on fire. Before we can talk about Chargers, before we can talk about Archons, the economy, it's in shambles. No, the probes! Get out of here! Big connection. 27 ACVs, sorry, 27 probes go down across the map. Adepts, they're doing what they can. They get 2 worker kills as well. But there are Lings in every other base. Could we even get a kill in the Nexus? It looks like we will. GG gets called, and Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the semifinals. GG. Oh my god, a dominant performance there from Dark. And stats, he just wanted to play some StarCraft. he just wanted to get into a stable economy. He wanted to make an army. Alas, game 1, at most, he ever had 3 Adepts. Here in game 2, likewise, at most ever had like 3 or 4 Adepts and a handful of Oracles. Just was not able to get into the mid game, was not able to get into his game. Was shut down before that could happen. GG, well played. The hyper-aggression from Dark getting out of control. And he advances on to the semis. GG. GG. And with that, we can have a look at the brackets. and go over what we have been missing. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the Wikipedia page yourself, which is a little bit more fancy. It has, of course, the races as well as the country flags. And there it is. Oh, I was looking forward to it. Nightmare versus Coffee. They went to the ace match, went all the way to game number 3, but Nightmare did come out on top. Big shout to Coffee. Coffee has been popping off recently. He's been looking really damn strong, and to take a game and go to the ace match against Nightmare, that is nothing to be ashamed of. That is a very good result there. Did go down in the end, but made Nightmare work for it. As Nightmare advances onto the semis, where it's going to be another ZVP. It's going to be Dark versus Nightmare in a best of 3. Let's go. Nightmare, much more in form than Stats, and we should be able to sink our teeth into a bit of a longer series between the two of them and longer games. Nightmare has beaten Dark in the past. I would still say that Dark is the favored player, but Nightmare has been able to take it to him before, has been able to make a series out of it and even force ace matches or even beat him in the past. So this should be a much closer series. I know Stats has a legacy behind him and Nightmare a little bit less so because Nightmare is quote-unquote newer to the scene and was never able to reach the echelons of Stats, for example. But in current StarCraft, Nightmare is the stronger player. Nightmare is the stronger player compared to Stats. And here we go. We are getting ready for that. Meanwhile, scrolling down a little bit further, we have Oliveira still waiting for the winner of Ryung versus Cure. They are still mid-series. We go. And as we get ready for our semifinals, you know what that means? That means predictions. Predictions in the chat will be open, so you can place your bets on who you think is going to advance on to the grand finals. Who is it going to be? Will we have one player or the other? As I quickly get those predictions going. One moment. And now that we have reached the semifinals, I wasn't sure if I was going to be joined by another Duckling. But we do have another Duckling joining us here. A big shout out to someone who's a little bit more free. In one way or another. Big shout out to Yaku. Yaku the Zaku going to be joining me once again 2 times in a week. Papi, hello. Oh.
That seems too exposed. What's the word I'm thinking of? It seems too concentrated.
Oh yeah, exactly. As before we do get into this, check your mic boost settings because you are coming off a little bit peaking when it comes to the audio. But here we go. We're getting
as it should be.
As we're getting into our first semifinals, and here we go in the top right hand corner of Alkione. We have the red Zerg player representing Dragon Kai Z Gaming. It is Dark.
And Swanning over here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, Swanning all the way in the bottom left, representing Matcherino Esports, coming down from the land of Korea. We, of course, have not Dream, but Nightmare.
You're sounding much better. Thank you. Smooth, Poppy, smooth. And oh boy, yeah, it's been a pretty intense week, and Yaku, it's good to have you back, Poppy. It's good to have you back. You're able to cast more StarCraft. Let's go. Oh my god.
I am. And speaking of, I'm glad I jumped in.
Now, this is not StarCraft.
Yeah. This is not StarCraft. This is Dark's. I don't know how to describe it.
His wet dream, his wet nightmare. Is that what?
Exactly.
Oh god.
It's his journey to just completely smack down every Protoss player.
I thought that you could have taken that in a couple of different ways. I thought you were going to say like his journey to enlightenment. You know, he's seen the light, he's seen the Miyamika.
No. This is an enlightenment. This is the exact opposite.
I see the downfall into the smudge, into just the non-stop 5-minute games, as we do have Nightmare going to be scouting across the map. He did see, by the way, he has seen the hatchery, and we should bring it back a little bit here. this is not normal. This is the first time I don't know about yourself, Yaku. This is the first time I have seen a hatchery goal base being taken like this on Alkione.
Yeah, on the side that doesn't have the gas on it.
Yeah. Exactly, and Nightmare, he did go for a 2-gate opener, okay? He went for a 2-gate response, so he's going to be making 2 adepts at a time. His goal here is to punish this, and we'll see if Dark can get away with getting into this gold. It is very out in the open, very exposed, going to be very difficult to defend.
Very much so, which is why already we see Dark throwing down the Spine Crawler, going for a full-on Ling Flood, because this is kind of a gasless build. He's completely pulled out of gas after researching Metabolic Boost. He wants to do nothing but Ling Flood from this point forward.
Oh, exactly. It's an all-in from Dark. Like, we're not going into a macro game taking this base of all things. Like, that's not going to happen. I appreciate that we're working through these rocks as well, just in case Nightmare were to get onto the other side to try to punish this from the other side of the wall. As the Adepts, they continue to threaten those shades back behind this. We have 4 Adepts, soon to be 6 Adepts. That's going to be a lot of Adepts to work with here. Dark, this is not going to be easy, but I like that he's rising to the challenge here as the Adepts do get onto the other side.
Yeah, Dark's fully committed to this. You'll love to see it. Now, the Spine Crawler not quite borrowed entirely, so these drones are still in a lot of trouble. Dark forced to pull away as the Adepts will be chased back by the Queen, thankfully for Dark. No, this wall is not a wall.
Oh, it's not a wall, Papa. We're going for the pylon. We will depower the wall. The Adepts, they do come out just in time. Thankfully here for Nightmare. At the same time, he tries to push his way in, but no, the Spine Crawler is in position. Lings are getting into the main, but not too many of them.
Yeah, just coming in to take a quick little gander of what's going on. A couple of probes will go down, but yeah, these Lings shouldn't be accomplishing too much. It's a follow-up from Dark that I'm really worried about because I don't think it can really be understated. Nightmare has 0 production at the moment.
Oh, he does. He's just now repowering because of that pylon going down as well. No Warp Gate. Warp Gate is heavily dead. We have to we're playing like a Terran player right now. We have to manually make units here out of these gateways. Oh god.
The worst fate.
Behind this, we're going for a Twilight Council, which makes sense to be aggressive. When it comes to Dark, I'm curious. He was droning up for a little bit, and I was very curious what the follow-up was going to be. He's still squeezing out a couple of workers, but that is a Roach Warren.
Indeed, it is. Follow-up that kind of makes sense here for Dark if we are planning to stay on Hatch Tech for the time being. There are a couple of Zerg players who do like to transition into more of a Bane bust from here, but it does take a little longer to really be effective. I mean, you do need that layer for Bane speed.
Yeah, exactly. And Dark, he's, you know, as you said before, he's a bit of a roach boy. You know, he is one with his roaches as the Overlord's going into the main base, confirming the Twilight Council, confirming the gateways. It's going to be 4 Gate Blink Stalkers out of Nightmare. And Lingbane would have had a bit of a harder time against pure Blink Stalker as well, so good choice here out of Dark. He's actually fanning out his units, just making sure that there is no ninja base taken from Nightmare.
Naturally, yeah. If you are a player who goes for ninja bases, your instinct is to always assume that your opponents are going to go for ninja bases as well. But it would also kind of make sense here for Nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's one way he's behind, not just in the base count, but one of Dark's bases is a gold base. So, yeah, sneaking out a cheeky third towards the north or the south would be a way for Nightmare to catch back up.
If this game goes on any longer, do you think Dark would take this gas and start like long distance mining from the gas geyser as well, or does he throw down the hatchery on the other side to actually mine efficiently from it?
I think he'd throw down a hatch. I think he would throw down that hatch.
Yeah, I can see that happening as well.
He's just that boy. Yeah.
If we go that far. For now, though, Dark, he's not droning. He's droned up to 41, yes, but he's cutting workers. Now we have roaches, we have Ravagers and Lings on the way. The goal here, the Ravagers will be knocking down that wall, and the Lings are going to be flooding on in from there. Nightmare trying to take a third base behind this is going to be exposing himself a little bit further, and we need shield batteries if we want to try to hold on. And there they are.
Just about being thrown down. Couple of sentries as well, just help with force fields and potentially Guardian Shell if there's enough energy to left over to help out then.
Oh, exactly, and this is going to be a very tight hold here for Nightmare. I mean, the shield batteries, it looks like they might finish just in time. It's going to be very close. Nexus is still on the way, which means there's no overcharge. No overcharge is available. Force fields are thrown down, but we have the piles.
And the Biles do land. A couple more force fields are ready, but yeah, they don't last too much longer either. That's a lot of Ravagers from Dark, which means that's a lot of corrosive Biles. Nex is still not done yet, and all of these shield batteries are completely out of energy. I don't see Nightmare holding from
exactly. We have the overcharge towards the end, but the shield battery does go down. We barely have any units remaining. We have 2 Stalkers left here at the natural with 1 shield battery. GG gets called, and Dark takes game number 1.
So dirty.
Oh my god, Dark, he's having fun today. Did you see a series against Stats? Did you shoot into that?
I caught a little bit of that. I caught a proxy hatchery right into Stats' wall.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, what more to say? You know, it's one of those things where Dark sometimes when he wakes up, he just chooses
violence.
Yes, it's choose violence, but also it's like, you know, enjoy it as well, right? Like
yeah, you gotta savor it.
He does. Oh my god. So yeah, just Dark having a bit of fun there, causing some chaos. Nightmare attempted to punish the goal base but couldn't, right? He invested so heavily into those adepts, and if you remember, we would pan over to them time and time again. The adepts were just constantly getting surrounded, and they never really killed any workers.
Yeah. Just a little bit of unfortunate mistiming there from Nightmare, I think. A couple of times where he had very slim opportunities where he could kind of punish those drones by the gold base, but then a second later the Spine Crawler would burrow, a second later the Queen would pop up, and yeah, the most surprising thing, of course, is the fact that he did leave his wall vulnerable for a little while, which allowed Dark to completely delay everything, cut off his production, cut off Warp Gate, and it was going to be uphill from there from Nightmare, but yeah, those Ravagers really were the final nail in the coffin.
100%, and now we're getting into game number 2, and we'll see what our Zerg player has in store for us this time, because spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark.
And starting over here in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left, we have our blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea, representing Macherino Esports, not Mafarino. We have Nightmare.
I'm glad you cleared that up. I know that some people get confused sometimes, so I appreciate it.
Yep.
As we do see Dark moving out with his first drone, does have a second drone here waiting for this probe to leave, essentially. That's the goal here for Dark, is that if this probe ever does move out of position, Dark can take the expansion, but no, he sees that the probe refuses to leave, and Dark is going to have to expand elsewhere. Oh.
Where elsewhere, though, is going to be the question. Because that drone is on a journey.
You know, I like to think that in Dark's mind, he's like rationalizing this. He's like, you know what? You forced me to do this. You stopped my expansion.
Yeah.
Like, what else am I meant to do?
Look what you made me do.
I had no other choice.
And boom goes the proxy hatch right on top of Nightmare's face. Just an eye for an eye. If you will, you delay my hatch, I'm going to delay your Nexus.
Yeah, there you go. So Dark did still go for a hatch fast before gas and spawning pool. So this isn't a rush. As you mentioned, this is just designed to force some economic damage, force workers off the mineral line, and delay the expansion of the Protoss for as long as possible.
Yeah, forces a Zealot out as well, which is not the most efficient unit that you want to be getting this early on in a PvZ.
Yeah, exactly. So just wasting more resources. Behind this, we could even try to go for an Evo chamber block as well. We could cancel, go into the main base, and we do barely escape with that drone. No Evo chamber, but we will double back.
He wants it. He was thinking it. He was dancing back.
Yeah. Oh my god. Again, just being as annoying as possible. Behind this, it's going to take a little bit longer to get into our gas geyser and into our spawning pool. So Dark, you know, this did cost him a little bit, but for the most part, he's safe and sound. And Nightmare this time going for a standard transition.
I just like that he's still keeping the drone there. Like, what am I going to do? You don't know, Nightmare.
I could throw down another proxy hatch. You don't know. True. But finally it does get shut down, and there we go. There's that Stargate on the way. Should be 4 oracles here, but we'll see if Nightmare wants to try to spice things up. Again, he is down in this series. Like, he needs to do something here to fight back to try to counteract Dark.
Yeah, Stargate, very safe unit to building to do that. You can get your Void Race to defend. You can get your Oracles to go across the map and harass, and that is exactly what Nightmare is doing at the moment. Still trying to distract Dark as much as he can with this Adept, but again, this Adept is just a scouting unit. It is just a bit of a distraction for the Oracles to come in.
Oh, exactly. As the Oracles are on the way. Looking at the vision of Dark, he did dip in earlier. He did get eyes on the Stargate. He saw the first Oracle coming out as well. So Dark is aware of what is coming across the map, and we're already getting ready for it. We have Queens on the way. Spore Crawlers, 2 Queens here at the Natural. We have 1 Queen, soon to be 2 in the main, and Dark is very well set up here to receive these Oracles.
Yeah. Not quite a bridge of creep between the third and natural base, but the Queens should be able to get there in time anyway.
They do get here in time. They do kill a larva, and they chip away at one of those eggs. So yeah, they're getting some damage done. It's something at least. Meanwhile, Lings are going to be threatening a counterattack, but the second Oracle has stayed back at home, which means Nightmare should be safe and sound. This third base should be able to get up and running.
Yeah, very wise for Nightmare to keep that Oracle back at home. Dark just chipping around. Chipping? No.
Chirping?
What's the word I'm using? Prodding around,
Yeah.
trying to see what he can get done, and the answer is nothing. So, yeah, decides to go back home, drone up, get his Evo chambers, and for the first time, I think we're actually going to get a mid-game out of Dark.
Yeah, it's like I could hear like the uncertainty in your voice. Say like, are we though? I don't but we should. Nightmare behind this though. That's a Twilight Council, and I don't see a Forge. This could be a Glaive Adept follow-up here. It's looking like a Glaive Adept follow-up here from Nightmare. So he wants to be the aggressor, but there it is. There is a Forge. It is a delayed Forge, but a Forge nonetheless. So we should be calming down and working on that next step, as you mentioned.
Yeah, delayed Forge is usually better than a delayed Glaive timing.
Definitely. As 1 Oracle gets picked off here, 1 Oracle for 1 Queen. Not the worst trade here for Nightmare as he threatens a Shade towards that natural base. We commit to the Shade even, but the Lings, they're already on top of them.
Yeah, there were already a handful of Lings that were able to pick them off, and then the reinforcements are really just gonna kill them, essentially. Essentially? No, literally. They are dead.
They do shut them down. The Oracles, they try to find a way in, but Dark, his economy has been left untouched for the most part, and now we're getting to the swing of things. We have the Roach Warren on the way, +1 melee as well, getting a 4th hatchery, and even threatening a counterattack. A very important scout as well. We do get eyes on the reinforcing Stalkers, not Adepts or Zealots or anything like that.
Yeah, huge tell here for Dark, obviously. He'll be able to put 2 and 2 together, kind of figure out that we are going to see somewhat of a repeat of game number 1, Blink Stalkers and Sentries versus Roaches and Ravagers. One very big difference this time for Nightmare, though, is that, well, aside from the Stargate opening, he is investing into a robo facility.
Oh, yeah, we do have that robo on the way for Nightmare, and that can, of course, gain access to Colossi, for example, if he wants to turtle on up. Lings, for the time being, they're just keeping Nightmare pinned back at home on his 3 bases, and Dark, he is so quick to tech. Infestation Bit is on the way. We've seen this a lot in Dark's EVPs. If he ever does catch a whiff that you're being more defensive and that you're turtling up back at home as a Protoss player, then Dark is so willing to start working towards a fast Hive and fast Lunkers.
Oh, yeah. That's been his thing for a while, really.
Well,
Which, of course, is the logical evolution from Roaches. Huge surround here on top of these Stalkers, but the Oracles should be able to chase these Lings back. Nightmare taking a couple of losses, but he's still alive.
Yeah, he is still alive, and like I don't know how Dark does it, but like again, he was able to take note of like the gases, the saturation, the posturing of Nightmare. We can see Nightmare going double robo into Colossus production. He's being very tech heavy, as we mentioned, and this is exactly the scenario where as a Zerg player you want to be teching as well. That's why the Hive is already on the way for Dark. And soon I imagine he could go into, I was saying Lurkers earlier, but with +2 melee, he could even go into Ultras if he wanted to.
Yeah, he tends to be a bit of an Ultra boy. Dark's Ultras are a little bit... They're built different somehow. They're always a bit more effective. Blink is done, but I guess it is on cooldown, so yeah, once again, Dark trading Lings for Stalkers, which is almost always a favorable trade for the Zerg player.
Definitely. I thought you were gonna say something like, you know, they may have nerfed the Ultra, made it smaller for everyone else, but Dark's Ultra, it's big, papi. It's
Oh yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. But here we go. Bailey's are
He's
being
very
morphed
proud
in.
of his Ultra.
He is, and Dark, he's going right for the surround as well, trying to catch these Stalkers, and we may have a hive, but Dark, he's looking to end the game here and now, looking to just crash into that third.
Yeah, we don't even have Bailing speed behind you. But these Bailings are gonna not quite connect just yet, so there we go. Very timely force fields from Nightmare will once again keep him alive, will allow him to chase back this force of roaches and... I was gonna say roaches and ravagers, but there are no ravagers, surprisingly. Just roaches and a couple of banelings. Now, a bunch of lings are coming to reinforce this, but do you really want lings in this position when, you know, the Protoss player will be able to make use of choke points, will have force fields available to them?
Exactly, and then again, those force fields, they were so clutch there from Nightmare, keeping his mineral line alive, and there it is, he is making those 2 Colossi at a time. Meanwhile, Dark hasn't teched up. He has the Hive, he's going up to Adrenal, but he's still sticking with Lingbane Road Ravager. A very bold move from Dark, but he wants to go for it, he wants to go for the kill once again.
Yeah, he's gonna try, but he's gonna have a much tougher time now that the Colossus are actually out.
Yeah, speaking of, he's getting on top of the one Colossus is going to fall. Good target firing here from Dark, but the second Colossus will stand strong. Baileys, they roll in once again. They want to get into the middle line, but the positioning here, they do not get in.
Yeah, they soften up a couple of these Stalkers, but unfortunately for Dark, there really wasn't enough left over to really clean them out.
Yeah, fun fact, by the way, as the Bailings were trying and struggling to get into the mineral line, they almost killed the Nexus. They almost killed the base itself, which may have been worth it in the end. I'm not too sure, but Nightmare is pushing right through the center here. He knows he has momentum. He was able to just barely clean up an army of Dark, but Dark, he has reinforcements coming in. Queens as well.
Yeah, once again, going for a full surround. Huge stasis ward. Will be catching about half of Dark's lings and preventing that full on surround. The Colossus is so low, Dark wants it so bad, and he will be able to get it. Banelings will crash on top of a bunch of other Stalkers as well, just as the lings come off of stasis.
Exactly. We clean up the army. That's all that Nightmare had left. He still has the economy on 3 bases. He's fully walled off. The probes, they just wouldn't mind, but they're stuck in the main base, and GG is going to get called. Doesn't give Dark the satisfaction to kill his 3rd base, and Dark will take it 2-0.
GG.
GG, well played. Again, a powerful performance here from Dark, taking the 2-0. As you mentioned, though, we were able to kind of sink our teeth into it a little bit more. We were able to...
We kind of got a mid-game. Kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, we got a Hive.
We did get 3-way saturation. Which is, you know, more than we can otherwise say. And oh boy, with that, Dark advances on to the grand finals, where he's going to be lying in wait, waiting for his next opponent, as we have our second semifinals, and yo, we have a fresh series.
Ooh, we do have a fresh series, and I'm not sure if we should be glad or if we should be disappointed, but our grand finals will not be a ZVP.
We won't
It will in fact be a ZVT, because between Dark and either Oliveira or Cure.
Ooh, here we go. So, yeah, as you were kind of saying, unfortunately, you know, we won't have another chaotic Crown Fiesta of a ZVP that we've been enjoying from Dark. Or maybe it's a good thing, I don't know. Depending on what you want, you know.
It all depends what we're looking for. Are we looking for, you know, these longer games of wit and positioning and, you know, army battles, or do we just want link floods?
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically you could still link flood in CVT, but
you could.
It's a little trickier.
I'm sure Doc will find a way. He always finds a way.
We're gonna have 5 games of nothing but Bane Bus. Mark my words.
That's what we are here for, as we are loading into our lower semifinals. Predictions will soon be open in the chat, so you can place your bets on who you think will face Dark in the finals. Will it be one Terran or the other?
Terran. Speaking of which, we are here now on hot lead Over here in the top left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner, we have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He, of course, is, yes, representing Team Liquid. We have Liquid Cure.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Chinese Terran player, the blue Terran representing CranKy Gaming. It is Oliveira.
There have been so many, Terran players being picked up by teams that I think my brain kind of molded them all together. I almost said representing Na'Vi. But I was like, no, that's all right.
Almost, but yeah, it has been really cool to see all these players get picked up, and as you mentioned, Terran players especially getting picked up by teams. Really cool to see the support flowing here for StarCraft, and yeah, especially leading into DreamHack Atlanta, it's big. Like, a lot of these players, they're kind of peaking at the moment. Cure, one of the best Terrans in the world right now, arguably the best TVP player in the world as well. Unfortunately, there's no Protoss to face off against, but, you know, like, Cure has been looking damn good.
Yeah. Absolutely has. Being picked up by Team Liquid definitely helps out a lot as well.
Definitely.
Between Cure and Clem, Liquid has a lockdown on the C players.
Yeah.
The C Terrans.
There you go. I'm still, you know what? I'm still on the fence. Like, whenever I cast Team Liquid in WTL, I'm still on the fence whether I want to call Clem the ace player or Cure the ace player. I'm still, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I feel like if we're looking at Team Liquid specifically, historically Clem has been the ace.
Yeah.
He has been the one being thrown out in those best of ones, clutching things out, and helping Team Liquid continue forward. But Cure, he's no slouch.
He is no slouch. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's one of those things where Cure, he has to earn his stripes, He has to. It isn't just about being like the best player, but he's got to really prove himself to the team, He's got to be there when they need him most.
Exactly. He's gonna have to reverse all kill.
Oh my god. He needs to reverse all kill Team Basilisk. I'm ready for it. But for now, we're getting into our openers. It was double gas opener from both players, so faster factories, and we should be getting into Cyclone production. And I don't know if you've been watching much TVT recently in the new patch, Yaku, but there has been a bit of a shift in the meta with the new Cyclone especially, and players like Cure, Clem as well, the Team Liquid Terran boys, they have been embracing a lot of early game Cyclone play.
All I know is that in TVT, a lot of Terran players overestimate the ability of a Cyclone being able to go head-to-head against 5 Reapers.
You're like,
that's been my experience in TVT.
Like, man, I don't care about your goddamn Cyclones, all right? I'm opening up with the coffee build. I'm coming at you with 5 Reapers, and I'm gonna kill you. Okay? It's like, oh, I see. I understand. But here we go. Oliveira going to be opening up with a bit of drop play here. We have 1 Cyclone, 1 Hellion, and 2 Reapers. A bit of a kitchen sink moving out across map to deal some economic damage. Meanwhile, at the same time, Cure is moving out with his mass Cyclone, and he will have some Cyclones defensively back at home just coming out of the production.
Yeah, it's not quite the coffee build, but, replace Hellions with Cyclones, and that's exactly what Cure is doing, especially with that Liberator follow-up. Cure, unfortunately, has nothing at home, so Oliveira is gonna have a bit of a field day until those 2 Cyclones popped out. Good use of KDA charge, bouncing a couple of those Cyclones, but unfortunately not bouncing them back far enough to really break their lock-on.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, Oliveira, both players losing a lot of those SCVs, has to take control, or Cure does take control of the natural base of Oliveira for at least a moment, forced to pick up, and Cure is eventually forced out. And as the dust does settle, work accounts are looking pretty similar here. Cure wants to try to catch that medevac, but he's being forced back.
Yeah, Oliveira set up a brilliant trap over here, being able to catch, a Cyclone and whatnot. Meanwhile, the Liberator really coming in clutch here for Cure. That's Okay, 4 kills, but in addition to all of the other worker kills earlier on, Cure will be pulling far, far ahead in the worker count.
Yeah, amidst all the chaos, Cure, he does come out ahead, as you were saying, still making nothing but cyclones at this point. Getting into his transition, it's going to be a third CC. Fast third CC from both players. Oliveira is slightly faster than Cure's. I believe Cure, after he saw it with the Liberator, then he threw down his own, and yeah, both players working towards a later game.
So this is TVT now, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're playing back. Like, they're massing cyclones now,
Yeah.
but eventually they'll get into biotank. Eventually. It's just, you know, like,
Well,
it's
we
a game
say
of
that,
chicken.
but yeah, we say that, but that's still a lot of cyclones.
Yeah.
And okay, Cure going to be the first player to really commit to bio. Going to be switching things up a little bit. Apparently, we need a lot of cyclones now to defend in TVT.
Yeah. I was kind of joking, but not really earlier when I was talking about how the problem with TVT at the moment is that if you ever stop making cyclones and you start going into your transition a little bit earlier, then your opponent just has more cyclones, they can just kill you. Like, it's a really tense
It's an arms
moment.
race.
Yeah. As a couple more workers go down to the main base. Ooh, once again, Oliveira down heavily here in the worker count. He has to make some magic happen. Looking at the units here, Oliveira does have the slight Raven lead. He doesn't have much else going his way, but with that Raven lead, he can maybe push out and trade more efficiently, but we now get a third Raven for Cure. And a fourth.
Yeah, and a 4th on the way. Very surprising. Interference Matrix done for both of our players here. And Oliveira being the first player to get those Ravens. You know, he has been able to gain a bit more energy. He does have, you know, even on the Raven count, but he does have the energy lead for the time being. Cure anticipating a little bit of a counter harass coming out from Oliveira. Unfortunately, didn't quite expect the medevac to come in through the middle of the main base.
Yeah, so we get some damage done. We almost get the Deeper. Deeper is going to be burning, but we get an SCV. We're going to be able to repair. We're going to be able to top it up. We do get eyes on the timing of the third CC.
Oh.
That's a lot of lock-ons on the base. Oh.
Yeah, but they do get broken up. That's a lot of auto charts, though, and that will give Oliveira a bit of a DPS advantage. All of the Ravens are now down. Cure has the defender's advantage, but it seems like it's not quite enough to make up for the sheer DPS of all of these cyclones and auto charts. The third base goes down, and that is one hell of a way to come back here from a worker deficit.
Exactly. Those auto charts came in clutch. As you mentioned, they did fare better for Oliveira in the end. Despite being even in cyclones, Oliveira was able to overwhelm and overcome Cure. And with that, that's a kill in the third base. That's a massive lead here for Oliveira.
Absolutely is. Just like that, he's already catching back up on the worker count, and he's going to be able to climb a little bit ahead. You know, he's got triple orbital production. Cure, with that orbital going down, he not only has to rebuild the CC, he also has to take time to morph it into an orbital command. Orbital.
Yeah.
I just realized we've been calling it orbital so much that I know there's another word after orbital, but now I can't. It's orbital command, right?
It is. Yeah. You
There we
got
go.
it. You got it. Yeah.
Just call them orbitals. It's easier.
I like how you can hear it in your voice where, like, the profanity, you're like, the orbital command? And it's like the sudden wave of realization. That's what it's called. Oh. It's crazy. It turns from a command center into an orbital command. It makes sense.
Command goes from the first word to the second. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of retaliation coming out from Cure. A very expensive retaliation with this tank. Will be catching a lot of workers. Will be catching one eBay. Oh, Cure actually, with the much better upgrades, will actually be able to stand toe-to-toe against all of these Cyclones.
Yeah, 1-1 is done for Cure. 1-1 still on the way for his opponent, only making one upgrade at a time, actually, and Cure is pushing him forward again. The pressure is on him to get damage done. He's diving on top of the tanks. The tanks are exposed.
Ooh. Very exposed. Oliveira a little bit later when it comes to his marine production, and as a result, yeah, he won't really be able to have a buffer for his tanks. On top of that, his marines are also worse upgraded, so Cure is pulling ahead. I was really worried for him for a sec, Cure,
yeah.
I mean, but
The tank.
very aggressively, very decisively decides to go for this follow-up for counterattack.
Yeah, taking down 3 tanks in total. Leapfrogging forward here as well. The boys, they're being pulled. GG gets called. Cure with a decisive push, takes down Oliveira, takes game number 1.
Wow. Very chaotic game. One that I think could have really gone either way there. It's just, I'm just very impressed by Cure to be able to identify these moments where he's like, no,
Mhm.
I should counterattack now. And, these moments where he is decisive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, things were going the way of Oliveira. Like, he had a really strong start there, killing that third base. But as we saw, the drop, there was a lot happening there, right? The drop traded with the Cyclones, right? But it also distracted the mobile army of Oliveira, dragging it into the main base, and that did expose the front line. That did expose the tanks, and Cure was able to just wedge his way in between the bases and go for the kill move. That was it felt like a very small window of opportunity for Cure, but he squeezed his way into it, and yeah, very decisive play.
Yeah. I think we both kind of caught on to it that after Cure's third went down, he had the early game advantage, but that advantage was very quickly disappearing. And in fact, the longer the game went on, Oliveira would have been able to pull much, much further ahead economically. So Cure, he recognized this is my one window. I have to make use of it, and then he just blew a hole through the wall, if that's a metaphor. But anyway, I'm seriously asking because it's been a long time since I've took literature. Anyway, here we are now continuing our series on Okian Bjorn, where we're here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, swinging all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea once again, formerly the mayor of Sick City, now the one level ahead governor of Sick County. Look, I live in a country that's one city. We have representing Team Liquid. It is Cure.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Chinese Terran player, the blue Terran, down in this series, looking to fight back, representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Oliveira. And what I love about that last game as well, Yaku, is that it was quite back and forth. Like, both players, they had their moments. Both players were able to take their own wins. And yeah, like, I hope at least we get to sink our teeth a little bit more into this and even get an ace match. We've yet to have one so far tonight. It's been 2-0s all around.
What I really like about that last game is that it's brought all the Terran players into chat.
Yeah, the Dolph is there. We do have Frost as well, and I'm sure Asher is lunking in the chat as well, just like embracing the Cyclone. I'm sure he likes it. He loves it.
Yeah. That's what we want.
It is. And yeah, that last game wasn't anything too fancy either, outside of positional play. I guess one of the notable things is that Cure was able to hit a bit of a faster, you pointed it out, right? A bit of a faster upgrade timing, where Oliveira was a little bit, like, a couple seconds behind in his upgrades, and that actually was impactful. Like, Cure actually made use of that window as well, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the replay, but I don't remember when Oliveira's stim finished up, so again, he was relying a lot on his Cyclones and unupgraded Marines for defense, but Cure, just one stim, and that's all it really takes to overpower Cyclones.
Oh, it is, and we do trade 1-for-1 in the end. Both players going to be losing their Reapers. I was concerned that Cure would be a little bit vulnerable, but we're okay as we're getting our CCs on the low ground behind this, getting into our factory production, and yeah, we do have our 1-1-1s on the way, so for the time being, things are going to be settling on down here, and I'm sure eventually we'll be getting back into those Cyclones.
Yep. Look, it's just the natural state of TVT now.
Yeah, embrace it, Bobby, embrace it.
Yeah. That's how we've evolved.
And there we go. The Cyclone production is going to be commencing here from Oliveira, at least. Cure still not going for an add-on swap. Interesting, he's going for a drop first. Medevac is on the way, and he's looking to be a little bit more assertive this time.
This is what Oliveira did in game number 1.
Yeah.
Seeing a little bit of a complete reversal now.
Yeah, very interesting here. So essentially, we are working towards Cyclones, of course, but we have a drop coming out first. If Oliveira moves out at the wrong time, then he won't have anything at home to defend. Things can get very chaotic. But as you mentioned, in the last game, things got chaotic for both players, and they both kind of traded almost evenly. Like, they both lost like 8 to 12 workers, and Yeah, in the end, it did go the way of Cure initially, but we saw how things kind of bounced back and forth between them.
All about that Liberator, man. Speaking of which, I was kind of expecting Oliveira to be the one to go into Liberators and Cure to be the one to go into Ravens, but no, for the time being, Oliveira still teching into Ravens, Cure still teching into a Liberator.
Exactly, still sticking to their guns from the last game. Cyclone does get dropped into the main base, so we have defensive Cyclones nonetheless. A couple of workers are going to be going down, but we shut down one of those Cyclones, both even.
And the medevac will live, but will not be able to bring any cargo back home.
Yeah, and that was a brutal trade for Cure. He lost a lot of units there for only 2 SCVs. Not sure if that was really worth it, especially losing his Cyclone. Meanwhile, Oliveira, after shutting that down, immediately CC on location. A bit of a greedy maneuver here, but he's feeling confident after what just happened.
Yeah, he knows he's safe. He knows that this was pretty much the only opening that, or rather the only force in Cure's opening, so he might as well just go for it, you know?
Yeah, exactly, as we do see Cure dipping in, scouting as well. I believe he just saw that we had a reactor on the racks, so he's aware that we've stopped Cyclone production. We're getting into tank production instead. Oliveira, he's going to be cutting Cyclones here at 5. Meanwhile, Cure is not stopping, so he will have a Cyclone lead, and he knows he has a Cyclone lead as well. He's pushing out.
Yeah, he knows he needs to make use of this lead while he can. He did catch eyes on that third base with his medevac. So it's really up to him to try to slow this down.
Oh, exactly, and we'll see if he can do so. The tank is still in production. Auto targets are going to be on the way from both players.
Yeah, but one more here for Oliveira. And that's one enough to really chase us back from Cure. Cure unable to punish the earlier third base of Oliveira. Catches a couple of SCVs with his Liberator, but he's going to need to do a lot more than that to really catch back up.
Yeah, it shows the power of the faster Raven. Remember, right? Like Oliveira, because he had the faster Raven, he had 1 extra auto turret in that fight, and that was enough to force Cure back. Meanwhile, Cure, he's still pumping out Cyclones, by the way. His goal here is to still break this location. He does have Interference Matrix. This one tank, there's so much riding on it. If it gets disabled, then Cure can break this.
Yeah, Cure sharking around, trying to see if there is an opening. Don't think he's caught eyes on the tank just yet. Throws out a couple of auto turrets for the extra DPS. Not sure if that was the right call, though, because Oliveira, with his own Ravens, with his auto turrets, will be able to completely shut this down.
Yeah, exactly. And Oliveira, he's getting away with getting into faster tank production. We do have the Liberator to the main base. We still get damage done. That is 8 kills in total. Not too shabby, actually. Not too bad. Oliveira now taking a deficit in workers.
Yeah, the Liberator definitely paid for itself. Like you mentioned, Oliveira does have a bit of a deficit on the worker count. Cure's Orbital did come in a lot later. His third base did come in a lot later, but now it's up and running, so yeah, it's not like they should be on even worker production. They will both be on even base count.
They will be on the even basis. Cure with a slightly better economy. Something that is important that we have kind of been alluding to this entire time. Because Oliveira went into faster tank production, Oliveira does have a tank lead. And that is going to be important and impactful in this TVT. It's going to be on Cure to try to surpass that in some way. Try to outposition his opponent or go for drop play. We'll see if he can pull that off. As for now, things are going to be settling down and we're establishing our thirds.
Yeah. Or you could mass Cyclone and overwhelm the tanks.
That's like, we saw what just happened. Okay, it's not gonna happen. I like the enthusiasm, Yaku. I like it. I look forward to the next Yaku ladder session. I look forward to it.
Look, if this is where TVT's going, then I'm going all in.
It's Cure pops up in the chat.
This is what we have to do now, you know.
Cure's like, Yaku, this is not what I was doing. This is not how you do it. And you're like, no, you just master Cyclone, right? That's what you do. That's what you did. Oh god.
Look how many Cyclones he got, you know?
Aye. As here we go, the split pushes are upon us. We got Cyclones towards the left-hand side. We have a double drop towards the right here. Oliveira is trying to spread out his tanks to protect his bases, and so far he is in position. We'll see if Cure can find a way in.
Yeah, he's trying to. Definitely trying, but yeah, this is a very well spread out tank line. Marines are going to be shelled away from just about every single angle.
Yeah, the main, though, we have Cyclones in position. We have a turret as well, so Oliveira just fortifying himself so well. We could maybe try to boost past, especially if Oliveira isn't paying attention. We'll see if Cure can find a way in. Hopefully he doesn't overextend, because that's a lot of supply here in these medevacs. Would be a big loss if you were to lose them.
He absolutely would, but Cure still wants to play aggressive. He is still maneuvering his army forward. He's got a couple of tanks, a couple of Cyclones. I believe he has a Raven lead. Yeah, Oliveira actually lost all of his Ravens. Cure is the only player with a Raven right now. One medevac will go down with most of its Marines, but the rest of them will land as well. Cure was really hoping that this would be an opening for him. This would provide an opening for him, rather, to really set things up. And yeah, okay, he's establishing a foothold.
I mean, he disables one of the tanks, he shuts it down, forces, he does finish just in time, will be able to lift and avoid the tank fire. Cure is not in a bad position, and here we go, in the midst of all this, going for a double drop once again into the main base. The Cyclones are no longer here, there is an opening.
There is, but this is a very risky maneuver right now for Cure. He doesn't really have a buffer for his tanks. Oliveira moves all of his Marines forward. He will be not losing too many of them. He will be able to clean up every single tank. Meanwhile, the double drop from Cure will land, but it feels a little bit late.
Yeah, exactly. What can we really pick up? Actually, we can get the E-base. It looks like we can deny +2 attack, which is nice, but we should be cleaned up. There's no escape here. The medevac goes down, and Oliveira shuts down the drop, shut down the army. Oliveira, can we push out from here? Throughout all of this, Cure has been heavily making workers. He's up to 82 SCVs. He has his 4th already up and running.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a very costly trade for Cure. It opens him up. It makes him very vulnerable to a counterattack, but looking at the army supplies, Cure has not neglected his production at all. They're still pretty comparable.
Yeah, I mean, because of the better economy, Cure has been able to make use of that with a better army, or to be able to reinforce his army that much faster as well. He does dive for a June drop into the main base as well, getting some SCVs and forcing Oliveira to turn back around. He gets a full medevac.
It's a lot of supply being caught up. You can see that in the army supply. Cure up 40 supply at the moment. A lot of workers going to go down as well, because fun fact, you can attack them from the high ground with Marines. Cure not stopping, by the way, still as aggressive as ever. He is looking to absolutely take down this 4th base and once again completely cripple Oliveira's economy.
This game, it was sheer macro out of Cure, because that was a bad fight that he took, right? His tank count completely reset, Oliveira shutting him down, but because Cure already had a 4th up and run, because he already had the better economy and the better production, he just remaxes, rebuilds, and he just gets further and further ahead. Oliveira at this point is pretty committed, pretty all in. He just lost the base, we have to send it.
Yeah, this is kind of Hail Mary here for Oliveira. If he can take out a base or two, then I think this game can keep on going. If he can wipe out the army and get right in the heart of Cure's production, he should be able to win, but it's much easier said than done. GG is called as, yeah, Oliveira scans forward and does not like his prospects. GG, very nicely done from both our players, honestly. That was a bit of an unfortunate end here for Oliveira, but I do think that this was probably the closest series that we've had this evening, despite the 2-0.
100%. It was a back and forth here in game 1, and even here in game number 2 as well. And this is also why, like, again, keep your eyes on Cure. He's a little bit underrated as a player, but he's damn good, damn powerful, and was able to win it here in the end. And yeah, especially game 2 was very impressive from Cure, right? For him to at times be maybe overextending or being a little bit careless with his army, but being able to sustain those losses anyway, like that was impressive.
Yeah. How's that old saying go? You don't need to win fights if you're rich.
Is that a saying? Is that
something like that? If it's not a saying, it should be a saying.
There you go. There you go. GG, well played. Cure will be advancing on here. Will be advancing on into the grand finals, where he has his opponent ready and waiting. It is going to be Cure versus Dark.
Indeed. A ZVT, bring it back to the, I want to say the middle of 2022. I do feel like for a good stretch, if it wasn't Dark versus Hero in every finals of ESL Open Cup Asia, it was Dark versus Cure.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the case in this year as well, where Cure is one of the more active Terran players in Korea in these online weeklies. Beyond not too far behind him, but Cure, he's here more often than not, and he's usually the Terran representative in ESL Open Cups and in KSLs as well. So yeah, he is the Terran to bring down, and Dark and Cure, that's a spicy one. It's gonna be a good series.
It absolutely will be. Especially since both of our players, woke up today and chose violence.
I
think Dark a little bit more,
Uh-huh.
but Cure still, he is looking to be absolutely informed today, just an absolute macro monster. Dark, meanwhile, yeah, he just wants to show everybody the tricks that he's got up his sleeve.
Exactly. At least against Protoss. We'll see how he does divert his play against Terran. Dark, he does have a lot of aggression there as well, don't get me wrong. We have seen Dark go into like gas first, into roach rushes, Link Queen Nidus all in. I guarantee you will see that at least once in this series. He's very fond of that, so yeah, I'm sure we're going to be getting a couple of macro games, don't get me wrong, but some aggression as well.
Yeah. Aggressive macro, if you will.
Oh yeah, exactly. As behind this, we're going to be able to get ready for those grand finals as well. This is going to be our final series of the night. A bit of a shorter broadcast, actually. Like, we're not even 2 hours in, and we're already in the finals. But a big reason for this, I mentioned before, is a lot of players are traveling for DreamHack Atlanta, and a lot of other players were actually up late this morning, or up early this morning, playing in the IEM Katowice qualifiers.
Yeah. If you're wondering why the likes of DRG and Classic and Gumiho and whatnot aren't here, it's because they're in bench.
They are in a bench, and soon to be traveling as well. I don't want to... I have to remind everyone constantly here that, of course, DreamHack Atlanta is this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Atlanta is upon us, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're willing to go full degen to stay up for it, Yaku, but we'll do our best.
I already have.
Okay.
I already have. How does that saying go? When free of responsibilities, man reverts to its natural state.
To ape form.
Turns out my natural state is a degen.
There you go. So something to look forward to. We're also going to be involved here on the CranKy Ducklings when it comes to the open bracket. We'll be covering the open bracket here.
Ooh.
Yaku may make an appearance. We'll see. I know the open bracket's going to be a long one, so maybe like towards the end or the beginning, I'll try and get like Yaku or Asher involved or some of the other Ducklings. I still haven't seen the schedule yet, so I don't know what time, but we'll be there. We'll be there.
Daytime.
Yeah. There you go.
Over there, anyway.
Yeah, so we will be a part of the DreamHack Atlanta broadcast in one way or another. Ooh, but until then, we still have these finals here, and something interesting that I'm sure we're going to be getting into as well. Cure even has a unique opener in TVZ. I don't know if you've seen much of his TVZ recently. Doesn't go mass Cyclone, but he also likes the Cyclones against Zerg as well. He likes them.
Yeah. I like how you had to preface that. It's not mass Cyclone.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of Cyclones.
He flirts with the idea of the Cyclone. He doesn't commit. He's looking at his options.
Yeah. It's just like Cyclone Light. No, that doesn't make sense. Mass Cyclone Light. LITE.
Just a little bit.
It's not mass. It's volume.
It's exactly. There you go. It's weight.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the players are just conducting their vetoes, and they need a little bit of time to get that underway here as well. So, yeah, I guess from here we can actually go on a short break. Take a moment to hydrate a Hydra, stretch your roaches, massage your Marines, drain your disruptors, and we'll be back with the finals.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
Where's the break? Where's the...
Oh, I thought you were signaling me.